Hello, my name is Daisy Santos, and I will be talking about the plea bargain and why it should be abolished. This presentation is titled Abolishing the Loophole. The plea bargain should be abolished because it allows criminals to walk away with less harsh sentences, for example, fines, community service, or house arrest. It pressures innocent citizens to settle for a bargain instead of pursuing a trial, and abolishing the plea bargain would minimize the corruption of the court systems. The plea bargain is an agreement in a criminal case between offenders and prosecutors to get a guilty plea in exchange for a lesser charge. It is also known as a plea agreement, plea deal, or copying a plea. Plea bargains are very common in our legal system. They roughly account for 90% of all our criminal cases. In many countries, however, it is not allowed to plea bargain. The countries consider them unethical and immoral. Many offenders are aware of the crimes they are committing and the consequences that come with those actions, unless they are crimes of passion that happen in the moment or because they are defending themselves from harm. When a person kills another, it is most of the time planned, and they are aware of the punishment, but they do not plan on getting caught. Many of them count on the plea bargain to get away with minimal punishment for their crimes they have committed. The plea bargain is a way for criminals to get away with less severe sentences than they would have gotten if they would have followed through with a jury trial. The jury trial would have prosecuted them much harsher for their crimes. A jury trial is usually not as forgiving as a prosecutor, who is usually attempting to lessen his or her caseload. For example, John Doe may have committed a first-degree murder, and the prosecutor in charge could have possibly worked with John Doe to get a confession in exchange for a lesser charge. A first-degree murder can be punished with a death penalty or up to life in prison with no parole, whereas a second-degree murder charge can be punished with up to 19 to 25 years in jail with a criminal record. Not all offenders are guilty. There have been cases where an individual has been wrongfully convicted and later exonerated. There are plenty of ways for an innocent to be exonerated of charges, but if an individual is found with a body and the weapon in hand, it becomes very difficult for a defense attorney to refute the charge. Some offenders don't know their options, and they lose out on their basic Miranda rights when they take a bargain and plead guilty for a charge they have not committed. Some innocents are pressured into pleading guilty, and they become victims of circumstance, and because they do not know any better. Sometimes a jury trial could just make them get a harsher penalty, and therefore a plea bargain is the best way to avoid the harsh punishment that otherwise would follow them if they followed through with a trial that would bring up irrefutable evidence. Leading into my next reason why the plea bargain should be abolished is because it allows corruption in the court system. The plea bargain is offered to innocent individuals who have been framed. Therefore, there is no way to prove their innocence because there is irrefutable evidence of their crimes. This is because officials get bribed by individuals with ill intentions towards an innocent. Officials like police officers to help frame the innocent, prosecutors to convince them that there is no way to avoid jail time, judges to pressure prosecutors to convict and get a guilty plea, and juries to find the innocent guilty at the time of a trial. For example, John Doe comes home to find his wife shot by a man in a ski mask. As he attempts to save her life, the man in the ski mask knocks him out and frames him with a gun in his hand for the police to find him. Then the ski mask man pays the prosecutor to charge him with first-degree murder, but to convince him to plea to manslaughter, to keep John Doe in a jail for a minimum of 12.5 years, so the ski mask man can take over his company. The plea bargain used to be a way to help defense lawyers, prosecutors, judges, and juries to lessen their caseloads. It ended up becoming a loophole for criminals to get almost nothing for committing crimes that have dire consequences otherwise. The plea bargain also has been the reason for some innocent people to get time when they do not know otherwise. All in all, the plea bargain should be abolished because it has turned into a devil's bargain. It has given criminals a way out of punishment, innocents a wrongful conviction, and allowed corruption to seep into our criminal justice system.